seamless transition.
That's right. What is going on, you big sexy world travelers? This is Judge Necklace coming at you live yet again. Anybody who's actually watching the live stream at the moment is going to notice that we got an extra head floating around the windows here, and it's not Halloween, so it's probably somebody special that we're here to interview. I guess you're about to find out here as we kick it on over to Big Sexy.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever this is hitting your ear holes.
Hate that word.
I hope that it is good. Everybody, y'all welcome today. Those who are on live can see, I have my dear friend here, Alyse, who I've known for a long time.
When we both were in San Bernardino,
right.
Probably think back to, we were talking about that deployment.
2001,
2003-ish.
Okay.
I think I lived with Celeste. I don't know if you remember Celeste.
I kind
of hang out with us.
Yes.
Yeah, and we party it up at your karaoke spot.
I also sing karaoke at the Rustic. Shout out to the Rustic.
Yeah. Shout out to the Rusty.
Yeah, I was actually at the Rustic not too long ago. Tom Provenzano, theater professor over at Cal State, unfortunately passed away. And we had memorial services for him on the 13th. And then afterwards, we all went to the Rustic to hang out and talk and celebrate. So we celebrate life, not necessarily celebrate his passing. We weren't having a party. Yeah, no, we weren't doing all that.
That's how I want people to celebrate me when I pass. Like, in a good way, though.
In a good way, yeah. Don't I want you happy that I'm dead, but I want you to party that I lived. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
I don't know. If you want to show up to some sort of celebration of life for me wearing a shirt that says he was an asshole anyway, who am I to be mad? I mean, I'm going to be dead anyway.
I mean, you're not going to care.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. My mom might have an issue with that. Hopefully you should be dead too.
Hey, Brogan, he was an asshole anyway. Just get that into your thought process. Let's design a shirt.
There you go.
He was an asshole anyway. Shirts going.
We'll have to chat offline about we don't want to throw the listeners too off on a tangent about Rustic, but I gotta go back. I'm back there. I used to live up the street from there, and then when we first met, I don't think I was living up the street, but then I eventually lived up the street, and look, many rough fun times there. To be in your 20s again, I can't do that no more.
What's one of your deepest memories of the Rustic?
When I got kicked out.
Or
I don't know if I want to tell people. I was a little crazy, and some guy tried to tell me something, and I was like, "You're gonna get away from me now." I'm back up.
Okay.
Trevor's like, "You can't be pulling out knives on people." I'm like, "Look, I just got home. I'm here to look out for myself." I'm like, "Tell him not to get handsy with me." So he let me back in an hour later.
Well, there you go. So I mean, you kind of. I think it was
out.
You had to take some space.
Yeah.
That's not that bad.
But no, I always had a good time. I wasn't a karaoke person, but it was still enjoyable, having you there and the different people singing. It just, the college people were there. Just, you make friends, regulars.
Yeah. So for the listeners who don't know, the Rustic was the local bar. Very much a locals bar. One of those, what they call them, dive bars.
Love a good dive bar.
This was definitely a dive bar, and this was a dive bar
next to an even divier bar.
Next to a divier bar called the Wooden Nickel.
Oh
man!
You had to brave it to go there, and I went there too much too.
I tell you what, I used to hate the Wooden Nickel until I realized it served a purpose. So if you were a horrible person, you went to the Wooden Nickel.
Yeah, I went to the Wooden Nickel.
I stand by what I said.
For those of you who got the little audio cut out there and think that Big Sexy just said if you were a whore, you went to the Wooden Nickel.
No.
Person.
Horrible person.
Yes. Hey, I'm a great person, and I was then too.
And I used to hate that because I would go over there and it's full of, racist folks and over drunk people and rude people. What it did it stopped them from coming to the rustic. So it served as a filter, if you will. Because without it, those people still want to drink. They would have came over to the rustic, and I would have had more issues than the few that I did at the rustic.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that. I mean, like any bar, they had their good and bad people. There was some good people there.
Sure.
Too. I will attest to that. I don't want to,
You can't throw the.
I'm not gonna throw them under the bus. There was a lot of people who took care of me there, and I had a good time there too. But like any place you go to, there's assholes everywhere.
Yeah, I would happily run over them with a Greyhound. That's how much I would throw a wooden nickel under the bus.
Okay.
You got to realize, dive bars serve a purpose for sure.
They do.
The filter. I remember, and I'm sure this place is out of business by now, but there was a year of my life where I lived Delaware, which is not far from where I am right now, but I was temporarily living in Delaware, and right around the corner from my place was this dive called the Woodside Inn.
Okay. And see, something about wood.
Right, exactly. Several weeks of living there, driving by this place, seeing this, like one of the, those the letters change marquee banners out front. And they would say, have weird shit in there. Not like kitschy, weird, like people are going to take pictures of this and put it on there, but just like a weirdo fucking put this in there. Like, and it was kind of, didn't understand what was happening. Right. So one evening, a buddy of mine is hanging around. I'm like, hey, I think there's this dive bar near me. We need to go check it out. Okay, fine. And I think there were 3 of us that went. An intern at my law practice, an old friend of mine, and myself. So we go to this place, and if what you were looking for was a dive bar, this place did not disappoint. So you go into this place, and there's this center island bar. So the bar's in the middle, and it's like a U shape around where the bartenders would walk around. There's only one bartender who we later learned was probably the guy that owned the place. And if you ever watched that Netflix documentary Making a Murder, with the guy from Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the owner / bartender of the Woodside Inn looked exactly like Steve Avery's father.
Oh wow!
From that. In fact, when we would talk about this guy, because ultimately this became a place that we would go to on a regular basis, we would refer to him as Papa Avery. This bar had a dog.
Did he know
that was randomly? No, he didn't know. Okay. But one of the first things that I remember from going into this place, and this was, like, number one, if it's not cash only, I'm going to argue with you whether or not it's actually a dive bar. This place, of course, was cash only. What are you drinking? I don't remember what I said to him. It was probably Bud Light. It might have been Rolling Rock. I have no idea. To which he immediately and excitedly responds, "Great choice." He has this desk lamp, like, with the little, you can kind of change the direction of the, the light on it, that he grabs, slides open one of those, bar side coolers, goes down into the cooler with the desk lamp, looks around for probably 45 seconds, comes back up, and he's like, we're out of that, whatever it was. I'm like, okay, well, what about this? We're out of you. First of all, you just told me great choice. That sounds to me like it's an
well stocked. Right.
You've got it. You're well stocked. Whatever my second choice was, didn't have. Okay, let's, sir, what do you have?
What do you got? Yeah.
I'll have what you're having. You whatever you have, I'm having it. So I don't even remember what we were drinking that night. And we may have ended up drinking Rolling Rock because that's all they had, or who knows.
Probably PBR.
And we're just like, let's check this place out. It's got one of those like 90s little like 13-inch tube TVs over in a corner. Wow. pool tables, the whole lot. One of the urinals in the men's room is out of order, and they don't just put a sign on it that says out of order. There's like a big trash bag that's all taped up over it and everything. The whole lot. We're playing pool, just and we're just screwing around or what have you. We realize,
did the pool table have maybe 2 or 3 coasters under one of the legs to make sure it was balanced?
No, I think that much was normal, but it was about a game or so in that we realized, I can't feel my hands.
Your hands
they don't fucking have any heat on in here. Like,
oh wow,
it was literally like that. And then we would go to this place regularly and just, randomly. It wouldn't be like the destination, but like we'd hit it before we went somewhere else, or we would be out and then, hold on, one more, let's go to the Woodside or whatever, right? Eventually, and I don't think they had this right away, but eventually they installed one of those Touch Tunes jukeboxes.
Okay, that's popular.
The modern ones, the ones where you could buy the credits on your phone with the app and play that shit.
Right.
And at the time, and I think this has since changed, but at the time, you had to be within a certain radius of the establishment to be able to play the song.
Correct.
I already know where we're going with this.
I lived close enough to that place that I, from my fucking bed, was in range to play stuff on at the Woodside Inn. So anytime that I would have people over and then we were like, hey, we're going to go to the Woodside Inn, we'd order Ubers or an Uber, depending on how many people it was. And as soon as that Uber rolled up, we started queuing up music for the Woodside. Nice. And so we would basically walk into the place with our entrance music.
Did you ever prank?
That's what I thought you were going to say. You would just
all the time. Yeah.
Okay. Right.
Favorite
playing Weird Al.
Play, from a distance to dive bomb somebody with would be Alice's Restaurant Massacre by Arlo Guthrie. This is an 18+ minute song. If you don't know it, I'm not even going to try to explain the shit, right? For whatever reason, there were no less than 5 or 6 times that the same crew of people, or maybe a few moving parts, but like a core group of at least 3 or 4 of us that were always walking through the door, and Alice's Restaurant Massacre was on, and we would always overhear the owner / bartender being like, something is wrong with that machine, that damn song is playing again. And they somehow did not put 2 and 2 together that every time this song comes on, these same assholes walk through that door.
Right.
Like,
that's hilarious.
Yeah, I've come to terms that going to any dive bar the first time, it's like a hazing experience. You're gonna go through it and you're gonna stay here. You're gonna be like, never again. Do you
have a good dive bar that you go to now?
No, I don't go to dive bars anymore. No, I don't have that kind of a life anymore. I'm just too busy with work and family and
not really
adulthood responsibilities. Do you got one?
I don't really have one. Not that I would, again, one of my prerequisite criteria for something for me to qualify as a dive bar is that it's cash only. So
all the bars that I go to that are in my requiem for a dive bar, they all at least took card. They were that advanced.
Yeah, I was so broke in my 20s. I had to be careful at cash bars. I'd be like, here's my card. Don't run it till midnight, okay?
Right.
Right. Those are the days again. Right. Oh. I had my priorities straight in college. Like, I just spend my money on food, beer,
So let's have what do you do now?
I'm a teacher.
Really?
Yeah.
What grades?
High school.
Oh, that's right. We were talking about I was going to try to be a sub in the Riverside Unified School District, applied, and they never once ever.
You have
responded.
to call them. They're super.
I'm not.
That's not. You have to remember how. I don't want to bore the listeners, but we'll talk offline.
You can't bore the listeners.
No, you got to call them. That's usually how school districts are understaffed, and there's just if you call them, those secretaries, they'll be like, oh, and they'll put you to the top, and they'll figure out. And if even like one little thing's wrong, they don't have the manpower to let you know.
Wow, okay.
So that would be my
that's something to consider in the future if I wasn't leaving in less than a month.
Yeah, but if you get in, you can bank some money quick. And
maybe I'll call tomorrow. Listen to that. Maybe you'll have an update the next time we have another episode of Big Sexy Digital Nomad Riverside University. Riverside University. What am I talking about? Riverside Unified University School here. District Substitute Teacher is the long title I was giving myself that I stumbled over that was not clear. But as this is a travel podcast, let's talk about travel. What you say you've done a lot of travel. So
I've done a lot of traveling. While I was in the service, so I did some traveling, forced military travel.
Right. Where were you first stationed?
Well, I was in the reserves technically, but I was activated a lot. So spent a lot of time at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. I went to Guam a few times. That was really cool. I did Kosovo and I did Afghanistan. So.
Oh wow. How was Kosovo?
Kosovo was amazing in the sense that I really liked the people there. It really hit me in the heart. It's really you saw how humanity treated each other. I don't know if you know the history of the.
I don't. All I know about Kosovo.
A civil war. That's the best way to sum it up without dragging it on. There was basically a civil war essentially, and during Clinton's era, he bombed them to get them to stop killing each other. But it was quick. It sounds bad. I'm not here to advocate that.
Stop killing each other.
Yeah.
Here's some bombs.
Stop doing this. And
we'll
but when he came to visit, he visited while I was there. The locals hugged him and loved him because it kind of created peace between them. For the most part, you can't always, it's like separating kids. You can only keep them calm for so long.
Good old-fashioned peace through
bonds. That's why we were there. It was like a NATO operation. So we were there as a peacekeeping mission, and it was really cool because I did a lot of stuff working with the locals and just finding ways to get them to get along with each other. You guys might not be the same religion, you might not look the same, but hey, people are people. And that's just how I live my life.
Bleed the same underneath.
Yeah, obviously none of us look all the same, but I don't care. You're a person. You deserve to be treated with respect. Period.
Judgments are.
I don't have anything to judge him on like that. I don't know. So but no, it was a really experience. It was the first time I was kind of out of my element of away from home. I'd been away from home for other things in the service, but this was the first time it was you really saw how different people can be with each other around the world. And I think growing up in SoCal, you don't experience that as much. There's racism here. I'm not gonna deny that, but it's kind of we're in a melting pot. So it's it's odd to see that many people that's what it came to for, forces to step in and do that. I'd love to go back to just see those people thriving, and I met a lot of the kids and stuff. So that was really fascinating.
Was Kosovo the first stop you made, or the first overseas?
The first overseas in the military. Yeah. We did Mexico as a kid.
That doesn't count.
But yeah, and I was really little, and it was.
Yeah, Mexico only counts if you're judgmentalist, right? If you're from the Northeast or anywhere in the northern part of the U.S., if you go to Mexico, that's a thing.
Yeah, and it depends on what part you go to. Because Mexico's just like the U.S. There's so many states and so many differences between food and languages and their dialects, and so. Yeah, that was my first experience overseas.
Yeah. I stopped counting Mexico when I realized that I could walk across the border.
I don't know. Yeah, it's true, huh? I didn't even think about it that way.
Yeah. I have to drive a few hours to San Diego, park, and then walk across the border. A lot of people
go. They get their medical care and
Right.
Yeah, so that was my first experience overseas, and then I did the Euro backpacking thing when I was
where'd you go?
College. Spain.
Yeah, I love Spain.
I loved it. Italy.
What part of Spain?
Oh, Madrid, Barcelona, Cordoba. I had to write it down. Sevilla, Toledo, all that. I'd have to look back. I had while I was there, I tried to not a diary, but I had one of those back, I don't think people use them anymore. We're gonna date ourselves, daytimer type things, and I would just put went here, bullet pointed where I went. I'd have to look back there, but where else did I go? Italy, Ireland. Only did London for a day. It was a mess. The travel plans got messed up, but I did the backpacking thing with some friends. I went there for field school because I went to school to be I got my degree in anthropology to be an archaeologist. And so I went to go do a dig in one of the Balearic Islands on Menorca. So I spent 3 weeks there, but I traveled before and I traveled after. And that was so cool. That was one of the greatest experiences.
Really?
Yeah. Back like just travel. I mean, well, you know, I mean, you guys know. I mean, if you can get out of here, I always tell like my students, I'm like, get out of here. Go places, go see people, go meet people, go try different food, get out of your element. Like the world is so big.
Yeah. There's so much to see. You went to school for archaeology.
Yeah. I already knew this was coming.
You actually traveled for archaeology.
Yeah.
You did archaeology out in the world. All my listeners are asking.
Why are you a teacher?
Asking, what happened?
There's no money in it.
Oh,
you don't make
kind of like improvisation comedy.
You don't make money to be an archaeologist. It becomes a really expensive hobby. So, you know, those who you fall into teaching.
That's why Indiana Jones.
You got the degree. Yeah, you know, and that's why Indiana Jones is way cooler than real archaeologists. Like what he does, most of what he does, he'd get in jail for. Like it's technically theft.
Most of what he does is Hollywood.
Yeah. And it's different in the US too. Like archaeology in the US, there's just so many laws involved with it and like what we can take out of the ground and what we can't. And a lot of the times they don't dig up stuff in the US. It's more like I followed when I did it in the US, it's like you followed around construction equipment and then you're like, wait, stop. Right. There's something on the ground. Let me bag this and tag it. Like,
let me take a picture. And
do we leave it? Do we not leave it? Like, I never ran into anything like, you know, an Indian burial. You know, if you ran into a burial, you always had like a tribal monitor. You always had like an archaeologist, a biologist, and a tribal person.
They didn't give you like a fedora and a whip.
Oh, that would have been cool. I know.
Right.
But yeah, it was not as cool. I mean, at least in other countries, they're like, dig it up, let's go. Here, we're more like, no, and not to be mean to America, you know, we're Americans, but it's not as interesting. You know, we're a younger country. We don't have as many unique finds. Not to say that like the Native American culture isn't rich.
Just say it. Our history isn't ours. We stole it.
Yeah, that too. That's a whole nother, you know, conversation. But I think it's cool that we do that we do respect that. We're not just going to randomly start taking all this stuff out of the ground without getting the proper permission.
Right. But instead of like
in other countries, we're digging up forts and we're finding different things, and you know.
Yeah, I think the design to not pull things out of the ground anymore is a relatively new legislated concept. Because before people would find it, dig it up. Oh, look what I got.
Yeah.
Try to sell it, throw it in the museum. Like, hey, y'all stop doing that. Stop finding burial sites and thinking you can just have whatever's in the ground.
Yeah.
No, leave it alone. You're desecrating things.
Yeah, and then there's like environmental aspects too, right? Like different animals and it's their environment and what are we doing to the environment we do. So I became a teacher because I needed benefits and I needed to pay my bills.
There you go.
But I do teach history, so you know
there's some in there.
You know,
there's something in there.
And anthropology is the study of people and students. I love them, but they're unique people too.
Right. You're getting them before they go out and make history. You're encouraging them to go out and make history so that other people in the field can go out and find it. Now, do you have any aspirations to become like a college professor and teach?
I used to, but I just don't want to go to school anymore. My brain is, I'm done. No more after bachelor's and master's and credential and all that. I'm like, no, I kind of just want to coast.
Yeah.
I would love, I part of me wants to, but just, you'd have to pretty much have a PhD to be a college, again, to make any money at
I guess it depends on the college.
You could be, I could only be an adjunct professor. I couldn't.
Right.
And that's like.
You may not need a PhD to teach like at U of R.
No, you do. It's a university.
University of Redlands, they require a PhD?
Most schools do, or I'd have to be teaching way longer, or I'd have to teach education. I want to teach history.
Right.
I wouldn't want to teach like teachers to be teachers.
You found your niche.
Yeah, I'm good. Like I used to be that person. I did it for so long. Just go, hustle. I'm like, you know what? I'm ready to just do my thing and chill, kick back, you know.
Earn that paycheck.
Yeah.
Save up for that pension.
Adulting, yeah.
How old are your kids?
I have a little one. He's almost 3.
Oh yeah, you have a baby.
Yeah. He's a youngster. So
first one, only one.
First one done.
Oh wow.
No more. That's a toddler.
Right.
No, we didn't want kids. Me and my husband, and then I don't know, we got this crazy idea, and
then went and had one.
Yeah, so that kind of puts traveling. It's put a little damper, but not a damper in the sense that it's just slowed it down. But we do camping too. Like we have a travel trailer.
Okay.
So he's gone with us camping. I mean, that's not really camping to some people. It's more glamping. But,
well, I mean, you know that's kind of camping I want to do.
Yeah, I did.
Where have you gone? Where do you go?
Oh, I've gone all over. We took off for a month in our RV one time.
To where?
All the way to Canada.
Ooh, what part?
Victoria, just right across the border.
Did you ever put anybody in the trunk?
No.
Specifically when crossing the border, not just putting
crossing the border, not just in general, but
no, we put grandma up on the top. No, we don't know what movie was that. They're putting the national anthem.
Right.
Yeah, but that was interesting. It was like we didn't have the kid then. It was me and the husband and 2 cats. So
okay,
you know, we didn't get divorced, so we made it work.
That's I'll tell you the best way to find out if you're in a good, strong, serious relationship. Road trip. Travel together. If you guys can travel together and not want to immediately end the relationship when you get back, you're good to go. Me and Nilla travel excellently together.
Yeah,
I mean, good. And we're doing it now. It really does help. We're both very, and we compliment each other. Not just like, hey baby, you look good, but also, you know, she is a lot of the planning stuff. She's really good at that, finding great deals. And I'm really good at navigating spaces, right? And finding things and problem solving here and there, but also finding building the tribe, right? Especially when you travel, finding friends, connecting places, going places, finding social events, finding fun things to do, and, you know, working out the giving the ideas for, you know, better aspects. Like, okay, I have an idea. There's this really awesome thing we should go see. And she's like, or she'll be like, there's this really cool museum. And I'll say, okay, to get there, we have to hop on this bus. We'll take this, we'll travel here. I'm really the directions guy. Gotcha. Right? Okay, we'll go here. I'm the navigator, as it were.
Yeah, it definitely takes time to get to that way. I mean, and I think like I would imagine backpacking in Europe right now, or being in Europe's got to be a lot easier now with like smartphones. I mean, I think I had like the beginning stages of smartphones. So it was like getting into an internet cafe and it was like MapQuest or Tom. And what is it, like Expedia to find where to stay. And now there's so many like other things. It's got to be more interesting. But I learned the hard way. I made a lot of mistakes because I was kind of the one while we were there. We didn't plan everything. Like we knew it. I knew where I was landing, and I met up with some of my friends because some friends were already there, and we met up with some of them. And then another one arrived, and then like 4 of us were together. Then 2 went home, and the 2 of us were still together. And I was kind of the like finding the hotels or the hostel or whatever. We only did hostels like once, and there was enough of us because between 4 people, it was
afford a hotel.
We could get a hotel room and we could make it happen. Like it ended up being cheaper most of the time because they would like nickel and dime us like at the hostels.
Man, I never lived that backpack European travel life, and I really wanted to. I remember, you know, growing up, I used to see the world, and I was like, man, I really want to go out and do that. Just, you know, school and work and
life,
adulting will get in the way, and it'll let it get in the way, and it just sticks and stays and doesn't go. But now I'm living that life. Now I'm really happy to be living that travel life.
Well, they always say
getting around the world.
Youth is wasted on the young, right? Like when you're young, you don't have the money or you don't have the this, and then it's like,
right.
I mean, still nobody's rich. I'm like, I'm not rich now, but as you get older, like you may have more fundage to do so, but it's like, okay, I'm getting older, so I don't move this. I don't move as well as I used to physically.
More things that anchor you to where you are, and you don't have that freedom to go and do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
But I've been lucky. I've been to a lot of countries. I've been to a lot of states. I've gone to a lot of national park. I've done, like I said, I like all modes of travel. And I like camping, and I like some trips where it's like, oh, we're going to a nice hotel this trip, and then we're flying, or this one we're driving. So I've done a lot of different modes, and I guess it's just kind of, you know,
Yeah.
Depending on where I just came back from Alaska, actually.
Oh,
yeah.
What was happening up there?
Went to go see the Northern Lights.
Did you succeed?
Yes.
How was it?
It was amazing. I didn't know what I didn't have anything to do with the planning of this one because of the little one. This is like one of the first trips. I'm like, I don't know, you guys, just let me know, or just tell me what time we're flying in and where I gotta be. My husband and one of his friends wanted to go, so he was like, hey, let's go, guys. And I'm like, I'm one of those kind of people when it comes to travel. If I have somebody that's like, hey, let's go do this, even if it's not high on my list of things I want to do, if I can swing it, I'm gonna go. Or destination weddings, things like that. I'm always like the friend to go. It was cool though. It wasn't something it wasn't high on my list of things I wanted to do, but I don't regret going.
Was it? I imagine it was cold.
It was cold, but it wasn't as cold as I expected. They actually said they were having like a warmer winter, and the snow had already stopped falling. Like there was still snow on the ground, but I mean it was still cold because I'm
still cold.
We didn't grow up in the cold.
Yeah,
we grew up in.
Yeah, I definitely anti-winter.
Yeah, but it was a really cool city, Fairbanks. And you just you're gonna go, you have to really it's something I learned later. It's like you have to look at part of what messed us up was one of the nights it was super clear because you need you needed to be clear, no cloud coverage, but it was a full moon, so we couldn't really see anything. It was now we know if we ever go back or somebody goes back, don't go in. You
gotta follow the lunar.
Yeah, and then there's certain months. I mean, we went during the months when they say it was the optimum viewing, so we got to see him. I think we went was it 5 nights we tried, and out of the 5 or 6 nights we had three nights we saw them, and one really good night. So cool. But you had to go every night, now start at 10 p.m. and stay up to 2 and just
where did you go? What? So you stayed in Fairbanks.
We stayed in Fairbanks, yeah.
Right, but then to go see the Northern Lights, you have to travel.
You stayed in Fairbanks. You just had to get out of the city. So that there's no,
the
lights. Yeah, there you go. That's the word I was looking for, the lights. So, and we just went. There's one main road to go to this thing called Chena Hot Springs, which is the biggest touristy thing you can do there. We did that. I don't know if you guys know what hot springs are. Where you can get
the hot springs.
And
the springs,
but we were around the snow. They're naturally fed by the water.
Yes.
Heated by the environment. I'm not a scientist, clearly. I teach history, okay. So we went on that road. There's different tour groups you could do where they'll drive you. We did one night where we stayed at somebody this tour has it was a lodge. Mm-hmm. So it was really cool because it was inside they had hot cocoa and tea and coffee if you wanted it, and then they had a nice deck and there was no exposure, so we were able to go there at 10 p.m. and we got to stay there till 2. So it was kind of we didn't have to be in the elements, and everybody would just kind of take turns being the one out there, waiting for the show. And when it happened, they let everybody. There was because those people of all age. There was even some very elderly people, so it was really good for them. They weren't like us on the other nights. We're out in the cold, okay,
just waiting.
So it was nice to have that for one night.
Was it this is the first time we ever done something like that? Yes. Seeing the night lights. Seeing the Northern Lights. Yes. That was the first time to Alaska. I hadn't been to Alaska before. That was my first time. I want to go back. Really?
Yeah, I want to go do the national parks, and I want to see glaciers. So
I want to do Alaska, but via cruise ship.
Yeah, my parents did that. I hear it's really cool.
Yeah, I definitely want. We always keep talking about doing the big sexy digital nomad cruise, and I'm always toying with Bahamas, Europe, Alaska. Those are my top 3 ideal destinations to do.
I wouldn't mind doing a cruise, and I just saw one advertised not too long ago that jumps around the islands in Greece.
Yeah, our honeymoon was Italy and Greece, and it was an 11-day or 11 or 12 or maybe 14-day cruise.
Where did it go to in Italy?
Yeah, that's a good question. I
don't know. I gotta think back.
It started off at Civitavecchia, and then went to Pisa, and then started going to other places I couldn't pronounce. And then I know that it went to Heraklion in Greece and Athens, and a few other ports that I can't pronounce that I don't recall. But it did quite that, and it went to Sicily, and then back to Civitavecchia. I think I'm saying Civitavecchia right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a port just outside of Rome, where most of the ships.
Rome, but I don't remember. I don't remember.
Yeah, we flew into Rome and stayed for 5 days in Rome.
Yeah, that makes sense. You need a few days there.
Yeah, and then we did all the touristy stuff. Mm-hmm. I highly recommend doing the big bus hop on, hop off tours.
They have one in Rome?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it was great. We paid for like 3 days there, and it was one thing that we always did. We love to do. One of the greatest stories I have is on the cruise. They had one of the ports. They had the hop on, hop off bus tour, whatever. Bought a ticket for that, and we were waiting. We're in this area, and we saw it's the world's largest moving clock tower, right? And we watched it. That's somewhere in Italy. And we're enjoying it and watching it. It was amazing, phenomenal. And then everybody went to get on the buses. And so a bunch of people, so really crowded. And people started to push and shove. And somebody pushed me from behind. And I was getting ready to turn around and say something. And before I could, somebody said, "Hey, that's Big Sexy. You don't push Big Sexy. You back up." What I didn't realize was that we were cruise ship celebrities, my wife and I. And apparently we had an entourage of followers and people who were looking out for our safety out in the world. In the ports, I felt so superstardom right there. My ego was
at the same time.
Oh, I can't get around his head. It's getting bigger.
If you were to transpose the words that were said out of context, and then listen into them behind the walls of a prison, they mean something totally different.
Yeah,
I thought you were just gonna say, because I noticed when I was in Europe, like personal space is a lot different than like Americans. We're more like
it is.
I mean, right now we're close, but like I know you, like versus like in places where like we have lines or queues, as they say in other countries sometimes, right? Like we give people our space. I never had that in Europe. They're like on you. And I was like, whoa, okay, well, I guess this is just different culture. Not used to it. Got to get out of don't want to be that American.
Have you ever been to Japan?
No, I have not been. I haven't been to anywhere in Asia.
So.
I've been to Guam, which is an American territory off of the coast, like further down from Japan. It's beautiful. Don't knock it. It's like Hawaii.
Guam is so far away and so tiny that when I think about Guam and I look at it on a map, and when you like zoom in and you realize that you can't see any other countries, you're like, how lost was whoever found this at the time? I can give you the history lesson on that,
but I don't want to bore you.
Please tell us the history of Guam.
I don't want to go into that. No, I just think there's a lot of Japanese tourists that, like, from what I understand from the tourists that I talked to from Japan, that's like their version of Hawaii. Like how Guam right here from the US we go to Hawaii because it's close enough to us. I mean, it's not part of their country, but it's close enough to them that it's not a long flight.
It's a vacation.
Versus
like,
vacation. I'm talking about you can't go to like Bali or whatever. That takes a long time.
Who found that place? And
who found what?
I'm not going in. We're not going. I don't want to.
You can answer that question.
I want to move on because I don't want to be. I worked all day teaching. I don't.
Okay, fair. It's like
I want to be in a good mood.
It's like asking a stripper to strip now. No, I just got finished sliding around a pole. I don't want to.
I've been teaching all day, but I want to talk travel.
Fair. Although technically I would be talking travel. But I digress. What I was going to say about Japan is what I learned is, and I've seen video of, is on the trains in Japan, there are workers in the train station whose job it is to push people into the train
during rush hour,
packed like sardine during rush hour.
So they can get more people.
So it's like New York, you will stand there. You will stand, and your back's out of and then you'll feel hands, and they will push you in, and you'll, and then the doors close behind you, and then that's just and then you pop out the next stop like biscuits.
You just fall out, yeah.
Just pop back out, and somebody's job is to get you in and squeeze you in tight. There's a part of me that wants to experience that, and a part of me that sounds absolutely horrible.
Mm-hmm. Did you? So then, have you been on the trains in Italy and you've been on the trains in Spain?
I have not been on the train. Yeah, that's a lie. Yes, I have. We did take the train.
Quite a different. At least when I went, like the trains in Spain were like clean. Like I think we got tricked because we first got to Italy, and I'm like, oh, like this is. I don't want to sit here. Now but you had no. And then as we got to Italy, to Spain. I'm like, okay, these are cleaner. And Amsterdam is like the cleanest city.
Right. Yeah. Amsterdam.
Man, they don't play around there.
Yeah, Western Europe, they have very excellent.
Well, no, like I said, the Italy trains were.
But Italy, well, we didn't do any
listeners.
Yeah, shout out to who you are. Yeah. We didn't do any train in Rome. Like we didn't do any city train. Mm-hmm. Only train we did a train from Rome to Ceuta, and that train was fine. Okay. That was a nice train or whatever. And then in Spain, we did the train from Barcelona to Malaga. But I have since then I have since ridden the train back and forth in Malaga from the city center out to Benalmádena and around those different areas. It's a very nice system. Shout out to the train system. But guys, look, this is Big Sexy talking to the Spanish train system, the rail system in Malaga. Go 24 hours. Just do it. It's about time that you just go 24 hours. You have a late night culture. Things in Spain, people go to dinner starting at 10:30. Your train shouldn't stop at 11:30.
That's what they party all night, and then they don't get on the train till the morning. That happened to me when I was backpacking. We were in Madrid, and there had been a Real Madrid game, which is like, right. I know it's football, soccer. Yeah. It's like they're Yankees of that area, huge, right? It's a big team following, and they had a game that day, and it was just a friendly, meaning like it wasn't like a championship. Oh my goodness, they partied in the streets. Like you would have thought they won, like how we have a Super Bowl party, like or when a team wins their national championship. This was just a friendly, like normal whatever Madrid game. They were partying all night. Well, because we had to get somewhere the next day. I'm on the train with my big old backpack, and it's like moving around, and there's girls, and they're like holding on to the pole, look like they're about to throw up. Like guys are like, I was like, they had a fun night. So that's why they don't go all night. It's because they party and then they just get on them in the morning.
Well, but that's the problem is, I tell you, there's that window of time between the end of the party and the first train, at least in Malaga. Because when I went to the San Juan Festival on the beach, I expected to do that. I knew I was going to be out late, and at first I was going to try to take an Uber or a Lyft, and they wanted way too much money. And so I said, well, I'll just Uber to the train station. And that was a lot of money just to go like barely, a mile and a half or whatever. I should have walked. Now, in retrospect, I should have walked and I could have made it in time. Anyhow, the train, that time between the end of the party, which was right about 4 a.m., right, people wind down, and then the first train, which was 6:30. Killing that 2.5 hours was murder. Because it's cold.
You're tired.
You've been on the beach. You were in the water a little bit. And this is not necessarily everybody, but still. And you gotta kill that time. And you don't, not realizing that you have to kill that time. Knowing it now, I would have just stayed on the beach. I would just kicked it and planned to do so. But I didn't plan ahead of time.
You didn't know. It happened. Everything's hindsight, right?
Yeah. Let's say knowing's half the battle. Yeah. So where else have you gone? What other places spark memories that like? So you've loved Alaska.
Yeah, I mean, I loved the experience of seeing the lights. I mean, I don't know if I'd like live there.
No,
I'd go visit again for sure. I want to see other stuff there. You're gonna find it funny, but I loved Spain. Yeah. So I mean,
that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I got really. It was really cool that like I studied there. And
Do you speak Spanish?
No, I'm not fluent.
Okay.
I'm one of those. You
got California Spanish.
Yeah, I mean, I understand more than I probably give myself credit for, but I'm also
Oh, you're
so then I'm expected to speak it.
You're definitely getting spoke to in the native language.
And then you get hated on because you don't speak it, and
right.
It's that whole like, oh, aren't you Mexican? And then it's like, yeah, they're not going there.
Right.
So, but that is something I recommend if you're going to travel, like anywhere, like know some of the know some conversational stuff, whether it's like hello, goodbye, thank you, please, or
right.
excuse me, because you bump into a lot as a traveler, especially when you had a backpack, if you're doing backpacking. Yeah, and even then the Spanish in Spain is so
it's different.
It depends on what part of Spain you go to. It's totally different.
So technically I've been immersed in Spain for 6 months.
Yeah.
Granted, 3 months on, 3 months off, with the middle 3 months was spent in immersed in Romania. But I've been immersed in Spanish culture.
Yeah.
Immersed in Spain. I thought when I came back to California, and there's a lot of Latinos here.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of Mexicans here.
Yeah.
I thought I would still be able to catch bits and pieces of Spanish that was being spoken. I've also been doing Duolingo.
Yeah, and even
I'm on 199 day streak. What's my streak? 199 days.
Yeah, I do Duolingo. Yeah.
Right. Today, when I do my Duolingo, will be streak number 200. Y'all look out for that social media post. When I got back and I heard a couple, and every now and then I would start listening to people talk Spanish, just listening in, leaning in, and they're speaking Spanish. Do I understand anything they're saying? No, not at all.
You have to truly like watch. You have to like 100% like immerse yourself. Like part of what's helped me is I don't know. You're gonna have to watch like soap operas. Watch novellas and watch them in Spanish with English subtitles.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's some really good ones on Netflix. They might be kind of girly, but I like them. I mean, there's different ones you can watch, but yeah, I think it's frustrating. I wish I spoke, but my parents grew up in that era, like the 50s when it wasn't good to have an accent and it wasn't good to have, they wanted.
Was there no Spanish spoken in the home?
There was, but it wasn't like fluent for me. It wasn't for me to pick it up. Like it was my dad's first language technically.
Okay.
And then my mom didn't pick it up till she was in like her 30s. Just because of her work, she worked with like maids and all the stereotypical Latino jobs, maids and busboys and waiters. She was like the secretary for a union for them, and so she had to. And the Spanish was from all over, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras. So it wasn't just Mexican Spanish, but yeah, I mean, I feel like I can get by more than I give myself credit for. It's just I have to get over people putting me down, and I hate that about it. I really wish people like you probably get more love when you try to speak it than I get.
Well, yeah, because I'm obviously it's not obviously native to my tongue unless
you're Dominican.
I'm Dominican
or Cuban
unless I'm in that area.
Yeah. But yeah, for the most part in SoCal, I don't even try because I'm just gonna get the like eyes rolled at me, and when there are people who aren't that way with me, I really appreciate it because it's like I want them. And then when I travel, it's so funny because you go places like we were in Vegas one time, and like the cab driver was like from I don't remember. I think he was from Ecuador, and he was like he wanted to practice his English, and I'm like, but we want to practice our Spanish.
Right. Like, I do. I tell you what, I made the mistake. We had a garage sale recently, and I made the mistake of speaking Spanish to some of the people who came to buy some stuff, and I made the mistake of saying perfecto. And they were speaking Spanish to each other, and then they spoke to me in English, and then I made the mistake of saying perfecto. And then she hit me with a barrage of Spanish, and I went, nope.
Poquito.
I don't. Yo hablo español un poco.
Yeah. I always say, hablo poquito or entiendo, pero no hablo bien. Like I can understand you. I say entiendo más o menos, like more or less I can understand you, but I can't speak it well. So
see, I barely understood what you just said right now. I
said I understand more or less, meaning I'm not gonna 100% get what you say, and I do not speak it well.
How do you say more or less?
Más o menos.
Más o menos.
And see, you're gonna be all thrown off because you're in Spain, and the Spanish predominantly spoken here is predominantly Mexican Spanish because that's the most population. There are other Latinos. Don't get me wrong, my husband's a Guatemalan, but there are mostly Mexicans in Southern California. We do have other South and Central Americans
right,
and other ones.
A lot of South American
Caribbean,
culture.
Latino.
Not a whole lot of Spaniards.
Yeah, so you're mostly gonna hear that the Spanish, but then even then there's like Chicano Spanish, where it's like there's a difference, like, and then I heard a lot of slang growing up, so it's like I'll say something to a friend and they'll say something, we're both like, well, what did your parents say for that? And even then it can be like where they originally were from in Mexico. It's just like here in the States, right? Some people say soda, some say pop, like.
Right.
Unless you knew that, you might be weird to somebody who doesn't speak the language.
Yeah, some people say car, some people say ka.
So yeah, that's I don't let that dictate where I travel to, in other words.
Right. Awesome. Well, yeah, so, man, I can't wait to get back to Spain. As you know, we're headed back.
Yeah, when are you going back?
We leave May 15th.
Okay.
It's a trip because we leave May 15th around 9-something p.m. We arrive in Malaga at 11:30 p.m. the next day.
Yeah, time travel.
So yeah, this will be the first time, and we are the number one time travel podcast.
I heard.
Yeah.
And what I really love? This is almost back to back podcast recordings we had a person who was a listener first and then was a guest on the podcast.
Yeah, I was a late listener. I saw you guys, saw your thing, and I was like, oh, let me support my friend and listen to it. I would have told you not to bring all those bags, dude.
Yeah,
I heard it. You were already in Spain, like right when you guys were like, oh, well, they don't.
Should have listened earlier.
I was like, why are they? Oh, I didn't know. The algorithm, nothing tells you what's out there.
Right.
But I was like, no, don't bring all that stuff. I was like, don't do it. And it was like, ended up like, wait, they're already in Spain. What am I talking? Like, I was like, they're gonna figure it out.
The in our defense.
And I'm not hating.
No, fair. No, and believe me,
I got a lot of tips like that.
As somebody who shipped back 47 kilos worth of stuff back from Spain to the U.S. In our defense, we thought initially we were moving to Portugal and that we were going to live there and get our visa, because the visa process in Portugal is much easier. So we thought we weren't coming back for years.
Yeah.
If we had known then that we were going to be doing as much bouncing around as we did and having to lug things from place to place, we still would have taken too much. Yeah, but we wouldn't have taken as too much, right? We definitely would have traveled with a lot less. Now that I know, I'm almost kind of looking forward to see how I pack going out. Like, I'm taking my PlayStation. That's just going to happen. And so because I'm taking my PlayStation, I'm now mapping out what things I can need. Like I have right close by this cute little portable speaker, right? It's adorable. It's cute. You know what they sell in Spain? Cute adorable speakers. And this one doesn't have an auxiliary jack, so I can't use it for my line dance class. So guess what this becomes? And not useful. So, and this has weight, and so this is weight that will not be in the bag, where it will be taken place by my controllers.
Yeah, it's just from what I noticed, it's just not a culture that caters to like having a lot with you. I mean, plus, it's again, older countries are like they're older country. It's an older country. There's a lot of cobblestones, and
right.
So you can't be like rolling your bags. Like,
and initially, like we, before our and my listeners have heard me talk about this. And so sorry if we hear this recap, but we, initially when we're going to travel across the country, just across the U.S., going from California to Miami, that was going to be all of a car ride.
Mm-hmm.
So I was going to pack along to be able to lug everything.
Yeah.
Well, once we had to change and incorporated a flight into that travel pattern, that kind of fuckered everything.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I couldn't bring the wagon. So now we're carrying everything manually. And that was horrendous. I do want to give a shout out. This is a random shout out to my boy, David Grant, who picked us up from the airport in North Carolina. We stayed with him and his lovely wife, Virginia, friends of ours. Absolutely adore these people, but big shout out to them. He was able to get all of our luggage in a Prius.
Just Tetris.
Oh yeah.
That's how it was when I traveled for that month because I kind of had.
I sent him the measurements.
Stuff along the way, I needed like more of my like stuff to cook because we weren't gonna eat at restaurants like every day. And
right.
Like, some places we stayed at nice RV resorts, and some it was like we did what we call boondocking, like
right.
No hookups. But my husband's like tricked out our RV with.
But see, you had an RV,
so with what do you call it, like solar panels and
all
the cool stuff,
Oh man, next time we're in town, we have to do a RV trip someplace. That'd be awesome. Because that's one type of travel I've done sporadically, but nothing like major. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we've gone to national parks. We've gone to others. We've gone all the way to that way. We went all the way to Zion to Utah.
Mm-hmm.
I said went up the Oregon coast, Canada. We've gone south to San Diego. We've done different. We do the desert in the winter because you can't go in the summer. It's too hot. Especially if you don't have hookups like electricity.
I've gone
interesting.
to
you feel
Burning Man in an RV, and I've gone to Ren fairs in RVs.
You did Burning Man? Mm-mm.
One time, I had hippie friends.
I don't want to be. Yeah, I don't.
And it was before it was as popular as it has become.
It's too hot. I think I would be miserable.
I live in Vegas.
I know. See, and I've gotten and like as I'm getting older, I'm despising the heat. I like not that I want to be in the cold. I'm like I want to be just like comfortable.
Oh yeah,
in the 70s. Today's a perfect day, but I don't want it to get into the 80s. And I start to look up like an old lady, and I'm like it's hot. Whereas when I used to, it was not until like the last few years. I think after having a kid, ladies, it changes you. Just so you know, having a kid. Right. I don't like I can't handle the heat as well.
Yeah.
So you're brave going to Burning Man. I've had friends who didn't.
I went once. I will never go again. I can't stand that much dirt.
Yeah, that too. Sand is like dirt. Wind.
I was dirty for 2 years after that.
Yeah.
No matter how many.
That's why I RV because I'm like I did enough sleeping on the ground in the Army. I need my little creature comforts. Right. I need a shower. Granted, it's not.
And this RV had a shower.
It's not as long of a shower. You have to conserve we only have so much water. You have to be smart with your water, but like it's still a shower.
Yeah, my wife very much likes the idea of tiny homes, like the mobile tiny homes that kind of trick out or whatever. And I said, well, I mean, it's an interesting concept, but I like stuff. I like space. Yeah.
You like space?
I do like space. Yeah, awesome. You want to hang around? I think we got some email. Am I correct, Judgmentalist? I think we have a letter.
Oh,
we do actually.
I
know we do. Matter of fact, I'll pull it up now. I think this is the right email account. This is right here. All right. So we have a letter from our friend Chris Lowry, and I heard the boys on Ice Cream Social read a letter from him in their scoop mail, and I said, well, hey, you need to send us that email so that we can read it to our listeners. And so I'll go ahead and read it from our Chris Lowry. Oh wait, hold on, wait. Before I do that, we got to do this properly. We got to do this the right way. And I mean, technically, we use that to transition into interviews, but that's our transition music. We still need
transition. So we use it to transition.
We use it to transition, so that's our transmission music. So this letter comes to us from Chris Lauer, and I just had it. Where'd it go?
GoWithLisa.com if you are looking to travel somewhere. Those folks can help you out.
All right, it says, ahoy, big sexy and judgmentalist from your cruise planner, Chris. Big news coming from Princess Cruise Lines. I do like Princess, so they're a pretty fun line. As they have launched their new ship, the Sun Princess, with a super fun collaboration with the Magic Castle. Imagine spending an evening on a floating version of the iconic Magic Castle in Hollywood. Judgmentalist, have you been to the Magic Castle yet?
I have not.
Oh, interesting. I've been there. Yes, it's a nice place. You should go sometime.
I should. There's just another thing on the list of things that Big Sexy's done that I should be doing, but whatever.
That's exactly what you can do now in the dinner and the show exclusive experience. Spellbound. Spellbound aboard Sun Princess is a miniaturized 4-room version of the Magic Castle. An entrance with a piano, 2 bar rooms, and tables for magicians to perform close-up magic, and a theater for performances. Amongst this fall's rumored performers is our friend from ICS, Matt Donnelly, the Mind Noodler. So if any listeners are looking to experience this amazing venue, please head over to gowithlisa.com. Let us know you're a world traveler. It's you sexy world travelers. And they'll give you an extra onboard credit to enjoy your cruise. You can also give them a call at 302-985-6403 or email us at chris.lowry@cruiseplanners.com as well. And that's chris.lowry@cruiseplanners.com as well. Shout out to our boy Chris. Thank you very much for that information. That sounds like a lot of fun. Have we talked about Matt Donnelly's upcoming venture as a magician on a cruise ship?
I don't know that we've gone deep into it, but I do know, because there were some other emails between Matt and Chris and I, that once Matt gets his schedule and his itinerary, he is going to communicate that to Chris so that anybody, whether they're a listener of our podcast or ICS or otherwise, that wants to make sure, because if you guys remember, when I went on that Disney cruise, I was super excited because I knew that they had top quality magicians.
Yes.
But not on the cruise that I went on. So make sure that you're reaching out.
Kind of stuff you got to research.
If you want to make sure that you're going to get on one of these cruises that has Matt on it or otherwise, because I would hate to have somebody be like, oh, hell yeah, I'm going to book this cruise. And then one of the big things that they're looking for is not on that cruise, because I know that Matt's schedule is supposed to be like, I want to say that he said he's got like a 5 or 6 month contract, but it's week on, week off. And that doesn't always mean that it's a week on and a week off. Like if those cruises are different lengths, you may not be able to just look
like
at
a 5 day, then a 7 day
every other week. It doesn't necessarily work that way. So I know that, to streamline these things, Chris will have the schedule once the schedule is havable and can line things up for you.
Yeah, so definitely join our friends over at gowithlisa.com and check that out, definitely. And then if you have questions about the Princess Cruise Line, like what that cruise line is like, go visit our friends over at cruisehabit.com, and they'll be happy to tell you all about it. And matter of fact, we mentioned our sponsor. Hang on one second. Here we go.
Want cruise information, tips, tours, and more? Check out cruisehabit.com/BSDN. Please, it's all I know anything about. Cruisehabit.com, bitches.
Yes, we have our sponsor.
Cruisehabit.com, bitches.
Oh, sorry.
I think it's replaying.
So that was me.
Oh, yeah.
I got cut off at the beginning, so I wanted to do it again.
Make it clean, yes. So, yeah, do you cruise? Have you
cruised? I've just done the Ensenada.
The Catalina Ensenada?
Yeah, no, it wasn't Catalina. It was just Ensenada.
Oh, okay. You did
but I want to do a longer one, so we'll see.
The
little one gets a little older.
Right. Because you have a baby now, so you got to wait. You want to wait till they get to an age where they can remember and enjoy.
And I want to enjoy it.
Right.
We want to enjoy.
Of course, when they get to an age when what I recommend. This is what I've heard people do. Right, is go on a cruise and you bring a friend.
Oh yeah, bring the grandma.
Bring the grandma. Bring an auntie.
He's a little mama's boy though.
No, it's okay. That's fine.
He's getting better.
That's fine, because when he's a little bit older, that the little bit of detachment, that'll be fine, right? Then you have somebody to watch for you to go do adult things.
Yeah.
And then when you're doing family things, that person has a cruise, right? So you're essentially paying for a
full-time
babysitter. And
they get to still have some of the fun with
and they get to have some of the fun on the cruise ship. Exactly.
You don't want to leave them in the room the whole time.
That's
no fun for mom.
No. They'll get to go have some, and they'll take the kid with them. Sometimes they'll also give you space.
Yeah, that's definitely something that. That's how you do it.
Yeah, and then we'll listeners, as you know, we're always talking about doing the Big Sexy Digital Nomad Cruise. I imagine that by the time we'll have enough sponsors to be able to fund something like that, it's going to be about 2026. But in the meantime, folks, feel free to go over to our Patreon. Sign up for the Patreon at bullwiththebutthole.com. Where you two can. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Well, don't. Yeah, we definitely get to that. Okay. Yeah. Well, so be sure to support the podcast. Become a subscriber. We appreciate that. And of course, Alyse, if our friends want to follow you on any of the social medias, where can they find you at?
I got a new Instagram just started up.
Oh, a new Instagram. Okay.
I'm actually going to be diving into a podcast soon. So
really?
I'm on the very beginning. We don't even have our first episode. We're just on the beginning stages of it. I'm a big fan of the horror genre, movies, books.
Okay, what's the podcast going to be called?
Dreadful Dialogue.
Dreadful Dialogue.
Dreadful Dialogue.
Nice.
Yeah. So you can find me at SpookyVibes_Alyse and Dreadful Dialogue podcast. Like I said, we're still very, very beginning. Hopefully soon we'll start getting everything going for that. But if you're into anything spooky and horror related, check that out. Me and my co-host will be on there.
And now, are you going to do reviews of movies or
mainly movies? But we'll cover other things too.
Okay.
Episodic stuff.
What about stuff like Halloween haunts and stuff like that? Theme park.
Yeah. We're hoping to cover Midsummer Scream, which is one of the really big horror conventions that happens in Long Beach.
Nice.
I just went to Creep IE-Con a few months ago, which was here in Ontario.
Have you gone to HorrorCon?
I haven't gone to HorrorCon. I've been at
the big HorrorCon.
Which one is that one?
I don't know.
It's called HorrorCon. There's a lot of.
It's called HorrorCon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, I've been to Monsterpalooza. I do a lot of them, little pop-up stuff.
Are you familiar with Final Girls?
The concept of Final Girls and movies?
Well, not just the concept, but the YouTube channel. And so
I thought you had somebody.
Yes, we did. My friend.
I was like,
the bonus episode, Stephanie Bale, one of my dear friends, is one of the Final Girls. They do reaction videos because a lot of them don't watch horror movies. So now they watch them for the first time together and record their reaction.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
And I don't think they don't have a podcast about it, but they do have a YouTube channel.
Okay.
So shout out to Final Girl. Shout out to my friend Stephanie. But definitely check them out. Because again, they might be cool people to have as guests.
Yeah,
on their
for
podcast.
sure. Yeah.
And they're here in Southern California.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I will have to reach out to her.
Look at Big Sex
a fellow lover of my genre.
Connecting folks. Exactly. You guys also, if you want any of the Big Sexy Digital Nomad merch, go to our merch store at whereisbigsexy.com, where you can get our merch. Currently, I'm not wearing any merch. I'm wearing some ICS merch right here that I also got at their store, but you can go to our store at whereisbigsexy.com, get you some Big Sexy Digital Nomad merch, Where Is Big Sexy, in the style of Where Is Carmen Sandiego. That might be my favorite piece from our dear friend Brogan, who put together pretty much all of our artwork. And Brogan's our friend over there.
Hey, buddy, nice podcast.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. She does a lot of our artwork. She does all the artwork, right, for you, Judgmentalist, and for Elkton Magic and stuff like that.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So shout out to Brogan at 7 Billion Needles. We appreciate you. Oh, by the way, and again, as we always tell stuff at the end of every episode, sir, you were on Hey Buddy Nice podcast again.
I was.
As a guest. And didn't nobody tell me about it. I had to find out from Journeyman Jesus in his episode. Shout out to Journeyman Jesus, whose interview episode's coming out next Saturday. Not this Saturday, but next Saturday, the 27th. He's the one who told me about it, that you were on the podcast. Then I had to go have a listen. How dare you, sir? How dare you go with an amazing concept? So if you don't know, our buddies over at Hey Buddy Nice podcast.
It was on a whim.
It was. I realized that because it was based off of the episode previous where they were talking about the card game. And then you had a great idea for a card game, and you guys were on there talking about it. So I get it, but shout out to your co-host, buddy. Just let me know. And I'm more mad at Wayne. I'm more mad at Wayne because Wayne I've been trying to get on the podcast for quite some time, and it kept falling through, and then I hadn't heard nothing. And so imagine my surprise when my co-host is on the podcast, all willy-nilly and random. Now, to be fair, it was 6
Now
a.m.
that we're talking about shit that I've done that you haven't.
Right.
The tables have turned, Big Sexy.
I get it. Fair. I see. Uh-huh. All right. Cool. I see what's going on.
I will defend myself with just one thing. My call time was 6 a.m.
Right.
So
which would have been 3 a.m. for me.
3 a.m. for you.
You probably wouldn't have been able to do 6.
I definitely would not have done 6.
Let alone 3.
But I could do 3.
Ooh.
I'm a late nighter. I'm definitely a late nighter. I could have done 3.
I was trying to help you out with that, Judge. It backfired.
it would take some caffeinated tea, but I could have done 3. So I'll hopefully reach out to them and
when you're back in Europe, it'll be like 11 or noon.
It'll be a lot easier, much easier. Yeah, so I'll get back on there. But yeah, so we'll be on the lookout for your podcast. Be sure to let us know, write in and tell us. And thank you again for being a listener to Big Sexy Digital Nomad. I really appreciate that. And listeners, we appreciate y'all. Take care. Let me do all this cool stuff while I'm talking. Hang in tight. Enjoy yourselves. And in the meantime, safe travels.
Safe travels.